Okay, thank you for coming. I do appreciate it. It's a good turnout. My name's Richard Quine. I work for a service provider called InTechnology, and we provide hosted IP telephony and OCS and exchange services. And what I just want to talk about today is that the normal way that people consider when they're doing UC is to do it themselves. They buy a server, they buy the software, they install it, they manage it themselves. What I just want to put here is the case for considering to take UC as a managed service. Basically take it from the cloud. So that basically means that you take all of the clients and you don't require any infrastructure or real technical support on site other than the desktop. So UC is a buzzword. Obviously the name of the trade show is UC Expo, but what you've also found as you wander around, a lot of people have different definitions of what UC is. So hosted UC is also open to a lot of confusion. So from my perspective, UC is basically different forms of communication, whether it's email, telephony, IM, or video. And usually they're hosted in the main office in your organization. If you have a multi-site organization or home workers, they all connect back to the main office to pick up your email, whatever you're doing. With a hosted communication, all of those services are delivered from within the cloud. So in the hub of the network where all of your network connections aggregate, that's where you provide all the telephony, the email, the OCS. It just means that everybody, regardless of location, gets exactly the same service and exactly the same performance regardless of where they are. InTechnology has three flavors of hosted UC. Hosted telephony, ours is based on a BroadSoft platform. We have about 16,000 hosted telephony users, varying from 10 users up to 6,000. And we offer this service across the UK and across Europe. Hosted OCS, standard enterprise with telephony integration. All of our UC services are integrated, so our OCS is integrated with our telephony, and a good old hosted exchange. You know, pretty standard, lots of people are doing it. What we offer here is a complete unified desktop, a managed desktop for a fixed price, so that from a telephony, from a handset, IM, exchange, you know exactly what you're going to get month in, month out. So the purpose here is that four reasons why you should consider hosted UC versus DIY. Can we just have a show of hands? How many of you are considering deploying one of these services in-house yourself? PBX as Exchange, OCF, so a good number of you. So this argument here is, why would you consider taking this as a service rather than doing it yourself? The first one is implementation. Now you might think that deploying a phone system or an exchange or OCS is quite straightforward. It's just software, it runs on a service, it's not that complicated. Well, you'd be surprised at some of the tales, particularly around IP telephony, how long it has taken people to roll out services. There's one customer, very technically savvy, they bought a well-known PBX system, 7,000 users, and it's taken them 12 months to roll out 10% of their handsets. At this rate, it will take them 10 years to complete the 7,000 handset. We're seeing this in OCS and Exchange. Technically, there's nothing that complicated about it. These technologies have been around for a long time. But often, particularly with telephony, this is probably the first time you would have rolled out an IP telephony system. So what we do is, we've done it many times over. We have 16,000 users. Our system is already up and running. All you need to do is connect your handset, or rather we connect the handset on your premises to our phone system, so we can up and running very quickly. Even with something as simple as OCS or Exchange, why bother? You know, we can get you up and running an OCS within 24 hours. with no capex, no upfront costs. It's just a per user per charge. You launch your Microsoft Office communicator, you connect to our server, and you're running. So the question is, why would you do it yourself? You know, there's a lot of hidden costs associated with not just staff, but power and service and maintenance and licensing and all the rest of it. Ours is an absolute transparent charging model. The second reason is budget. A lot of customers are talking to us because they're trying to replace their old system, like an old Meridian or TDM system, with a new PBX. But they're having to get together £200,000–300,000 worth of capex for the handsets, the PBX, and the consultancy. There's no capex around anymore. There are very few organizations that have that much money to be able to spend on a new IT system. With a hosted service, even the handset is included in the service charge. So you can start off from £8 per user with a brand new Polycom handset with a fully managed telephony service, including voicemail and Microsoft integration, all included. So over the period of the contract, 3–5 years, whatever, that's exactly the price you're going to pay all the way through. It's also incredibly flexible. Another one of our customers, they deployed PBXs in a number of sites across Europe, and they're only using 10% of the licenses they bought because each site bought them individually. So they're wasting 90% of their licenses. And you know, an IPT license isn't cheap. With this system, you only pay for exactly what you need, when you need it, and the functionality to use it. So from a pure efficiency perspective, you save a fortune. And the way that we do it is that we actually go in and look at your total cost of ownership and we'll do a comparison about what you're spending today versus what it would look like in a managed service. And the third reason is priorities. You guys are all very busy. You've all got enormous things to do. You've got small teams, you've got shrinking budgets, particularly after last year. You don't really want to be focusing on what you might call the business as usual stuff, you know, the basic stuff like running your network, running your servers, running your phone system. This is what we do day in, day out. We have £100 million worth of infrastructure, so we can provide you with this service on demand, on tap, as a utility, managed and run 24 hours a day, so that you can actually focus on the bit that is more important to your business, not patching and maintaining a phone system, or an Exchange server, or an OCS server, or what happens to be. So this is our business. We look after back-end infrastructure, so you can actually be focused on the things that are really important to you, things that we don't do. And then the last one is risk. No IT director gets a pat on the back for when things go well, but when they go wrongly, they're the first ones to be blamed. We have an army of technical consultants that have done these services many, many times over, and there's no additional charge. This is part of the service. So if you take a telephony service or an Exchange service or an OCS service from us, you get an army of IT people on site to be able to help do it, to do training, to do the installation, to do the requirements captures, and to roll it out. It all comes as part of the service in the same way that if you go to BT and have a phone line and it breaks, the guy in the van turns up to fix it. You don't pay for that. That all comes as part of the service. It's exactly the same way that we treat our telephony, our Exchange, and our OCS services.